Yeah, I know. Because I was talking, I didn't realize I was fucking muted. I was telling him he got to unmute.
Yeah, I thought you said that we needed a countdown, and I'm like, isn't that built in? Like, I'm
gonna look for like a new countdown, bro, because that countdown is ass.
It's not built in, Luno. I gotta press that.
You gotta press play on it. Yeah, I saw that earlier.
Yeah, what's good, man?
Yeah, we're back again. Another fucking
episode.
Coalition Podcast, Secret Invasion shit. We here with episode 4. Want to thank everybody who's been running up the likes on the videos as well as the shorts, which have been highly successful. And we do hope to provide some content today that we can make it to more shorts so we can feed off of the content. So before we get into it today, obviously like, comment, and subscribe. You know, we've been doing this thing now about a year,
35 weeks.
35 weeks. Yeah. Okay, so we still going strong. Please like and subscribe. We got more shit coming out for y'all and stuff. So we're really excited to get into this episode today. A Secret Invasion. This was episode 4, Beloved.
So wait, let me let's do a little calculation real quick. 35 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little over 8 months, I think. Because 36 would be 9 months.
Right. So
what is 8 months from like 9 months? When did we start this shit? 9 months.
That's a really good question.
This because we're in July.
We're in July. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right.
October?
That sounds about right.
Sounds like it. Yeah, I remember it's the cold season whenever we started.
That's crazy, bro. That's really crazy. Like
it is pretty crazy.
3/4 of the year, like we've been through doing this shit. That's fine.
Hey, man. Look, man. We need y'all, the listeners, you know, just the subscribers, all of the people that's coming through, enjoying the content. We need y'all to share this shit, bro. We need y'all to holla at your people. You know what I'm saying? Like holla at your cousins, your aunties that don't be doing shit. They work at McDonald's and shit, and your uncles and shit that just you know, like everybody, bro. We need y'all to share the content around, man. We put 8 months into this shit already, bro, and there's more to come. But we're not gonna be able to really do much more if y'all don't subscribe, bro. Subscribe.
Yeah.
If you're new to the page, subscribe.
But thanks to everybody that watched our last stream, man.
Most definitely.
The girl next door is at 271 views, I think.
We're not gonna talk about it, but y'all niggas might be some horny niggas. We're not gonna talk about it. We just gonna keep it. We gonna keep it low key for y'all. But y'all might be some horny niggas.
I know what y'all was doing. All right, man. We can talk about this shit, man.
Yeah, man. We got episode 4 here, the continuation from last week's episode, which was pretty action packed. Had a lot of like turns and stuff that were interesting to us. One prediction that we made, after the death of Gaia was that, that Gravik would make good on his promise to send Gaia in a body bag to Talus's house, but things didn't quite go that way. This episode, we opened up with Gaia being able to heal from the gunshot wound using the extremist. She's
a super Skrull, man.
She's a fucking super Skrull now,
which tells us that at least some of the shit has been circulated amongst the Skrulls already, so we can assume that the technology they're working on is complete to some extent, and some of the Skrulls have it. Gaia back on the scene again.
So for her, she actually snuck in. When we saw on one episode where she was in there watching or some shit.
Yeah.
Apparently doing that
shit on what the fuck was going on in the lab and shit.
Facts. And so apparently I guess that's the scene where she snuck in and she did the shit herself. Like,
and okay. I low key predicted this shit. I remember saying whenever we saw motherfucking Gaia get her chest blown out and shit, the way they had like the shot of the vehicle Gravik's driving off in the vehicle, they had it as if she was about to pop up right there. So they kind of tricked us a little bit for those who got the trained eye, that see certain shit in movies and it's meant to make you think something, but it's actually something else type shit. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
So they didn't do it how I thought they would, and I'm kind of like this episode is super crazy. Like my whole predictions for everything else is completely out the window now. I'm still. What was the bet, Slim?
The bet was that Nick Fury was going to be killed off at the end
All
of
right,
the series.
I'm not gonna renege on my bet. So if he lived, I still got that. What was it, 10?
Yeah, you know what's crazy? Fireworks bet too, and now he gone.
Nah, hey. That you better
Fireworks
run
won't be
down on that
back.
nigga. I'm not paying that nigga bet.
Fireworks won't be back until like next year, guys. So, but he definitely made that bet. I forgot
That
about
nigga
it.
made a bet and left.
He got deployed, man. He's in the
And
military.
he knew when he was. That's the thing, bro. He in the military. He knew
He
when
knew
he
when
was
his
deployed, bro.
So when he
knew
made the bet, he knew he wasn't gonna be here by the end of the show.
That's crazy. You a slick nigga. You not slick, but you slick.
That's the same nigga that scared to sneeze on the podcast, man. We seen it.
That's crazy.
But yeah, go ahead, Ludo, man.
Yeah, man. But you know, nonetheless, Guy is still alive. And we get another flashback scene. I'm really liking with this series how they give us just enough background to kind of add weight to like what's gonna happen in the episode. They don't like go through the entire like, you know, catalog from like the 90s through into 2012, which is the climax of the Avengers. They just like kind of piece it together as it goes on, and we get some more of the present. So I like how they got the parallel timelines going. It was really good for this episode. We got
real quick.
Yeah.
They also do a really good job of like we've seen Nick Fury in all of these phases of his life, whether it's during the Avengers or during the stuff with Captain Marvel when the Skrulls were first introduced, and they do a really good job of repainting who he was around that time. You know what I'm saying? Like when they start this, they do the flashback to the 2012, and he looks exactly how he did when, you know, right after the shit happened with Loki and them. You know what I'm saying? So I really fuck with the attention to detail on that. Right.
We have the meeting between them in 2012, the aftermath of the Avengers coming to save the world. And they're in like a public sort of like a pub or something. And he's meeting with Priscilla, and Priscilla says, hey, you know, the Avengers coming together, you know, I think he has something to do with that. He goes, what makes you think that? She goes, well, I know a particular person cares a lot about his home, thinks that a home is a place that needs to be protected, so on and so forth. Really just showing her adoration for Nick Fury's character, and definitely like a striking contrast from how people like view him now as like destitute, out of it, a shell of his former self and stuff. So we still kind of get to see like Nick Fury and like kind of like his prime of reception as far as people are concerned, is certainly Priscilla. But she reads a bit of Raymond Carter or Carver, one of them, like a poetry part, which was something that got to the effect of, did you get what you wanted from this life? And what did you want? It was like to call myself beloved on earth or something, right? Which is the title of the episode. But essentially, I don't know if this was where him and her, like kind of their love like sprung off from, but I assume that. I'm not entirely sure. But I do think,
I would probably say,
or was it the last episode? Because I know the last episode.
Yeah, the last episode was like in the 90s, right?
Yeah, and they were like flirting and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, when they first met, but like when she, you know, revamped herself, and you know what I'm saying, and they actually did something. They actually did some explaining on how she came to be this person, you know. So I fuck with that whenever they her and Nick had to sit down at the breakfast table and whatnot.
But one thing we gotta shout out the critics because they were writing these summaries, and they pointed out that the person who was on the phone with her last week
sounded like Rhodey.
Sounded like Rhodes, and it ended up being him, right? So Rhodey and her meet up, and damn, he's smug. Damn, he's like super fucking like self-important and stuff like that,
bro. Like, and we found out that it's not him later on in the episode, which helps me a little bit because, like, I'm not gonna lie, like I fuck with Rhodey, like as just like
I never liked dude from the beginning.
Me neither.
Just as his, I feel like he acted as Iron Man's kind of like probably not conscious, kind of like his conscious, like to really make him aware of the shit that he does, you know, and the effects that he has.
Bring back Terrence Howard.
Get that nigga out of here, man. That nigga out of here, man. But we got
like, guys. I don't know who the fuck
before he's like, you know, he's a good person, you know what I'm saying? He presents himself to be a good person. But in this, like, the nigga's smug, the nigga's a cocky asshole, like nigga talking to Nick Fury crazy. I'm like, this can't be Rhodey. But turns out it's not. Turns out it's actually a Skrull.
Well, then it was the
whoa.
one scene where he was telling her like, "Yeah, I want you to kill that nigga." And it's like, okay, is this one of the Avengers telling somebody to kill Nick Fury?
The starter of the Avengers? Like,
hell nah, he ain't the starter. Oh, you talking about Nick?
Yeah,
I thought you meant War Machine. I was just like, fuck no. I wouldn't let you get away with that.
Well, one thing I'm not really sure
player.
about with this series is whether or not like being a Skrull means you were always a Skrull.
No.
Okay, because it could be the case that this is Rhodes, and Rhodes had become a Skrull by some means. I'm not sure if you could really transform. But
because I think let's say like the opening, the very first episode, they did the same thing with Agent Ross.
Fact.
And Agent Ross was definitely a human, like in the Black Panther series. But in the very first episode, they had somebody impersonating him, and they were a Skrull. So I'm thinking it's kind of like how the lady said, like Roots alluded to. The lady gave a story about how she came to be this form, and she basically said like the original woman, she passed. Dying, well, she was dying, but she had already taken her form before then. But the original woman died, and she pretty much just assumed her life. So I'm assuming
she explained that she had a conversation with prior to her doing it, and it was the lady she told her who she was, what she was, and whatnot, and she introduced it as I can continue your life after you're gone, and she made her had her make 3 promises, which were to continue to be a daughter to her parents, which is cool. That's honorable. And I forget what the other one was, but there was the last one to never hurt Nick Fury. And I'm assuming that this person didn't know Nick Fury, but the way that what is her name? What is
Priscilla? But
Priscilla. The way Priscilla presented it, she presented it as, "Do you want to fall in love?"
Right.
And so she didn't just go and like it's not Invasion of the Body Snatchers type shit. Like she actually this was an agreement between 2 people.
I'm gonna be honest. Yes, it is.
Bury her at sea. Bury her at sea. That was the other promise.
That's all they doing is stealing people's identities in this series, which they don't have a choice.
I do believe Rhodey. He was probably kidnapped or some shit. Like how they got all them other people lined up in there. I do believe Rhodey is somewhere in that building and shit.
Yeah, somebody could have like hooked him up to the thingy and like downloaded like his body or whatever else.
That in like the last 2 episodes. I don't know, because that is a great point. Like, how is this person is pretending to be him as a Skrull. So where is the original guy?
Right.
Type shit. Because you're next to the president. If it was me, somebody pretending to be me, and they're next to the president, I'm gonna see him next to the president and know, wait a minute, that ain't me. I'm me.
Right.
And so I'm wondering, like, what the fuck is he if he don't know that the president's fucking advisor or whoever he is pretending to be? It's a woman, actually.
Well, it seems like the pathway to the president, as far as connection is concerned, Gravik is involved in that. When she's on the phone with Rhodey's is reporting to Gravik. He's giving her confident answers. You shouldn't be concerned about what Gravik wants. Be concerned with what I want, because he seems to have some idea about that. That's one part of this that I think is important. It could be the case that when we first see Rhodes in the intro, when he's first going to the president, telling him Nick Fury's back, and he goes, take care of it or whatever, right? That maybe it's still the Rhodes that we know. Maybe it's still the Rhodes that actually does have fidelity to Nick and wants to, protect him through this. But maybe at some point in the middle, like he was abducted and the shit we're talking about happened. It could be the case, and we'll only find out later. But one thing I did want to just talk about briefly was just sort of the interaction between Shorty and Nick Fury right at the house. How they both shot at each other, they both missed each other, and Nick was just sort of like, I mean, does this mean we divorce or renew our vows? Like, what the fuck is this going to be? Yeah. So it showed that throughout this entire thing, and even when she went and she was talking to Rhodes, how she was kind of talking down, like, oh, like he's weak, he's a shell out, his older self, he'll eventually die off on his own. Like, why do I need to go and kill him? Rhodes being the dickhead, he's like, well, you can keep talking about what might happen. I'm just gonna have to tell you what I will do or some shit, So
and there was actually one thing in that conversation that kind of confused me a little bit in the conversation between Nick and what is her name? I be fucking people name up on this shit.
Priscilla.
So there was in their conversation, Nick asked, how did you come across this new form of yourself? And in the midst of that, she said, I had to find somebody who could get past your defenses. And he says, oh, so you were playing the long game on me. And she's like, don't do that. Like that thing that, whenever you feel like you know something, you're having a conversation with somebody and you feel like you know something to be true. However, they present it as, oh no, it's not like that or some shit like that. I'm like,
oh yeah,
the way
obviously
you presented
it is like that.
exactly.
Yeah.
The way you presented it said, like you said,
I think she just didn't want
defenses.
him. She didn't want him to put it like, how like that's kind of like throwing it in her face. Like you've been manipulating me this whole time, and she like, man,
and she's like, oh, don't say it like that. Don't do that.
Yeah. Even though
like,
that's what you was doing.
Do it like that.
That's what the fuck you was doing.
Bitch. You just said that's what you did.
You pretended to be somebody from the very beginning so that you would go undetected to him, pretty much, or like he wouldn't know what the fuck you was really planning to do. Yeah. So.
But nonetheless, like good conversation, between Nick and and Priscilla there. At the very least, we know that Gravik is going to delete her at some point, whether it's sooner or later. But you're supposed to kill the guy and you didn't. So hope the love is worth it. She's probably going to get wrecked. I personally wanted to see her become the replacement for the other chick that died in Moscow. Maybe she could have joined the team and helped them out with their operations and stuff like that, but guess not, right? But anyway, I think we get into more interesting ground, obviously, after, we have the conversation and stuff, and then we see Talos and Gaia finally meeting up after she was, supposedly slain last episode, but comes back to life. And Talos is trying to sell her basically a story of, maybe we don't need our own home. Maybe this can be our home. Let's just keep on doing our best. And Gaia's like, who the fuck are you, dude?
Not going. Man, you weak ass nigga. What are you talking about?
Yeah. And that's
kind of our own crib.
That kind of goes back to, I believe I said it on one of these past episodes, where they're basically in hiding while they're on Earth. They can't live freely in their own skin. And that's what she said. And so it's like, the reason that they want a home, Talos, is because they don't want to be hiding. It's like they can't be themselves on Earth.
Yeah. Also, it seems like they're very much a proud people. So the idea of earning someone else's trust to be able to be themselves is just, it doesn't sound right. It's kind of like how Wakanda is with their their resources and shit like that. It's like, nah, don't just expect for me to be on your side. You got to earn that. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to earn your trust. You have to earn mine.
But look though, but she was right when she said he was delusional, because it's like we had this conversation before. Humans are not going for that shit. Talos.
Facts.
We don't give a fuck how. We don't care about your heart, bro. You're an alien. Like
he been dealing with.
They gonna get on your ass when they find out.
They gonna lock you up in Area 51. People too long. He think all us like Nick. Nah, nigga. Like
that's the fact. Like the human race is not like Nick Fury. Like,
at all.
You've been
that
around
is a bad example for all of us. Like,
well, it's just kind of crazy, Like he's saying basically, we're gonna stop the insurgency. We're gonna, we're gonna show like the president, hey, like, look, we stopped the bad Skrulls, and then we're gonna be seen as like the good Skrulls, and then we can live here happily ever after. Guys, just like, this is just like obviously bullshit. What happened to your pride? Like, what, don't you want to be in your own skin? Fuck your heart, nigga. Right?
In which I'm sorry, I just want to give more clear example to who we are as a people, as the human race. A grandmaster in the KKK could have a fully loaded shotgun, not even fully loaded, have one shell in the shotgun. There's a black person on the left and an alien on the right. Guess which one he's gonna shoot? Not the nigga. He's gonna shoot the alien.
He shoot the alien.
He gonna shoot the alien, and then have maybe shoot a fair one with the nigga before he shoot the nigga and let the alien live. Like you're out of here, alien. You're going.
Right.
Yeah, alien's gonna be the one thing that bring the human race together. Tell us like we gonna get on y'all ass.
But this is I think this does mirror some of that like kind of thoughts of racism. I think we're thinking about the right things when we talk about like race, or like we talk about like nationality when we investigate the problems with the Skrulls and like being in human society, because this is basically the same issue, right? You have a group of people that move into a place, nobody's fucking with them at all. Some people will be like, we need to find a place for ourselves, while other people would say, hey, we can fit in with them as long as we do the right thing. And I think Gaia's issue is that this is just defeatist. The same way like a black person would say, hey, we're being mistreated in this country. Let's just keep being good people. Let's keep being upstanding citizens. Eventually they'll stop being racist. You think somebody in the heat of racism is trying to hear that? So I thought that was tasteful the way that they did that, because you can resonate like from a personal perspective, like, yeah, I'm not going for that shit. You know what I'm saying? So,
and you know what? I think it's a good comparison. I think Talos is like Martin Luther King, whereas Gravik is like Malcolm X, but like way like more brutal Malcolm X. Like Malcolm X was harsh with words. This nigga's harsh with bullets.
But they said Martin Luther King had a lot of hoes, man.
Yeah, he had a lot of hoes, but he wasn't walking around calling crackers.
He's a smooth talker. But the thing is that at the end of the day, he got assassinated, right? And what became of this sort of peaceful, nonviolent protest shit? Everybody thought it was a joke, man. It was the motherfucker.
But didn't Malcolm X get assassinated too?
He got assassinated, but you know what he did is he urged like black spirit towards like defending itself with violence if necessary. A lot of people try to say, well, Malcolm X didn't say like go out and kill white people. He just said that if we're oppressed, then it is within our right to fight back, right? Which basically means that the niggas come at us, we're gonna get rid of them, right? So, so
Luno, I got an interesting little thought that I just came up with. Since y'all was just talking about like the little commentary, it's a little bit of social commentary in this fucking show. Yeah. But how y'all was talking about like race and nationality and shit like that. So if we think back to the last episode, I believe, whatever that last conversation that Nick had with Rhodes. Remember when they were having the little, when he fired him and they were going back and forth, and he was like, it was basically like a little race conversation, like you bowing down for the white man and this and that, and Nick. So put that in perspective, that now we realize that this is a Skrull talking. It's not just a black man talking. Like this is Rose as a Skrull. So that kind of changes. Does that change things to y'all? Does that make that look different?
It doesn't. I think because on one hand, like if we're talking just straight analog to like black people in America, then I do think I kind of see what his point was, and we were calling him say like an Uncle Tom, right? But the funny thing is, I think as a Skrull, what it actually means is that Nick is insufficient to carry the torch for Skrull kind. In the sense that like you had your onus, you had your mission to like get us a new home or whatever else. Clearly that shit is not working for us. So I did not, we didn't toil, we didn't suffer so and work hard so that we could pass the torch on to a nigga like you who's not really going to be able to do nothing for us. So that Uncle Tomism was actually him just talking about Fury not being up to the task. So I think it adds up a little bit.
In which I can understand that even from the black side of things, whereas it's like Obama becoming president just to hand it to somebody like a Young Thug or some shit like that. Like you're not equipped, my nigga. Just because
did you call Nick Fury Young Thug?
I'm not saying him. I'm just saying
niggas indoctrinated. Niggas poison. Niggas poison with that white fever, son.
Look, that's how Rhodey. If Rhodey was just black, he wasn't a Skrull or anything. That's how he looks at him right now. You're not good.
Nick Fury,
you got one of our best agents killed in this bullshit that you got going on. You're not.
The thing is, now that we know that's a fucking Skrull, the Skrull don't give a fuck about Maria dying.
Oh, most definitely. I think that was just
ulterior motives.
I think that was just helped his point to be able to do what he needed to do, which was get
Nick out of the
position that he was in.
Yeah. Before we get too much into that, let's talk about the hotel scene. All right. We got Nick breaking and entering like a well-to-do black man into.
He might be Young Thug. Okay.
It's an argument now.
And he said, "I was in the neighborhood, and you broke in, entered, like you committed a crime, nigga."
B&E, nigga.
One thing I love about Nick Fury though is that he hate being wrong. It's like when niggas correct him, he always like responds so sour. When Talos was roasting him, he's like, "Okay, bro, well we can go and do this mission when you're done bragging about all." Okay, you don't want to admit.
If he wasn't busy doing this, he would have seen that we was here. Like, come on, Nick, you just deflected. Like, come
it's the same shit here. Like even on the
he did the same thing. He's even when he said you broke in, he's like tomato. No, nigga, it's not the same thing.
Not the same thing, nigga.
You definitely broke in, but that's a nice ass space though. Let me just say it was a nice ass place that they were sat in. So nonetheless, they get to the table, whatever else, and Nick, he thinks he's got like a chip in his on you know what I'm saying, on his side because he listened in on the conversation between Rose and Priscilla, right? He knew he already got the drop, and so he's pulling up to kind of just figure out what the fuck is going on, and you know, I don't know, maybe threaten this nigga. I don't really know what he was really thinking was going to happen there, but
Nick might just be an eavesdropper. Like that's really
also,
what he's been doing the whole.
In which he didn't really execute anything like I thought he would. Like the way he entered the conversation says that he still thinks that this is Rose. You know what I'm saying? Like with the conversation that they were having, I feel like it's easy to tell that Rose is either working for Gravik or is a evil Skrull. Like how
Now, he addressed that. He addressed that.
He said it. He said it, but it was cryptic. He's like, "Oh, it's somebody who."
I don't think it was cryptic.
But it's
Let me tell you why I don't think it was
really
cryptic.
Close.
Yeah, but I don't think it was cryptic. I believe it's what Luno is saying, like the way his demeanor in this show, like the way he's acting. I think it's just one of them little slick ass remarks because he was basically saying like, as close as me and you are right now, even closer. Like he's definitely telling, like it's a Skrull.
It's sort of like it's like I know
it's you
that you're this, but you know I'm gonna ask the questions, whatever else. So he's trying to be really slick about it, and you know Rose was adamant. He's like, "No, this again? You're talking about this again?" Like
wild conspiracies.
He wasn't going for it.
Conspiracy, brother.
But basically, Fury was basically like, "Look, man, you know bygones be bygones. You know I'm trying to get my job back," and this nigga's like. No, nigga. Like, what did you think?
Tell him what he did. Tell him what he did. I got a comment about it. Tell him.
Oh, no. So the nigga said no, whatever else. But Fury, basically, what was it? What was the shit that he tried to do?
He was trying to blackmail him.
Yeah.
He was like, I just want my job back. You know, I know about Skrulls being in the government and next to the president.
You type shit.
I know you're a Skrull. I just want my job back. That's it. And you know, he went to the videotape shit.
Yeah, that shit was crazy right there because you know we actually saw that happen.
Facts.
I got this.
It's a perspective, a matter of perspective.
We saw that scene for sure. When they took on Nick's form and then shot Shorty, right? Yeah. Facts. So, but it was a step ahead because that means that when Rhodes was out there and he was talking with the motherfucking officials, the world officials and shit like that, and trying to like make a case, and they were like, "What was Nick doing over there in Moscow?" He had this footage,
and he was telling them allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. It's so crazy because he was like, "If you want to give us the footage, you know, we can analyze it at our labs." He just wanted that shit to himself so he could use that shit against them.
That's a fact. And he's like, "If Nick don't do what the fuck we say, we're gonna expose this to the world that you killed Maria."
Which is more of this spy shit, bro. I was saying how this spy shit is like a new thing for like the Marvel universe. You know what I'm saying? Like before, they only had Black Widow and Nick as spies.
I appreciate the Skrulls, bro. I think the Skrulls got a lot to do with this. Like how all this shape shifting and deception and shit.
And like with this being like the connector to the Secret War, I'm really excited to see how they tell this story. You know what I'm saying? How they continue this story, rather.
Right. And not to mention that what's his name? Rhodes said, should I be worried about poison when he's taking the shot? And Fury said some crazy shit like, nah, maybe like a liquid location tracker or something. Nah, but it was true.
It was exactly.
I noticed that's something. I feel like that's something that he does a lot. Like he makes a little joke about something, but it actually be. He's really
like joking serious. But serious type shit.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's done that a few times in this series.
But he definitely did it though, because he was able to get the drop on them on the president's, like, you know what I'm saying, the escort and shit, right? Like he was able to find them and shit like that.
So with that being said, does that mean Nick Fury still has the edge in all of these situations? Because it always seems like he's beat. Like you thought you had one Nick, you don't. But then it turns around and it's like, well, he actually did something. I think it's like the same thing with the bombs and whatnot. You know, they had the drop,
quote unquote, with having the marks on the bags, but the opposition was just like a half a step ahead of him with, oh, these are fake bags or these are fake bombs or shit like that.
So I'm looking at it from the different perspective. I'm looking at it from Nick's perspective. Like in the first episode when he was talking to Sonya and he was trying to, he got kidnapped, but while getting kidnapped and, him and her having that dialogue, he planted some shit there so he can get intel on what she was doing.
Right.
And then he pretty much did the same thing right here with Rhodey. Like he was trying to get something, quote unquote, and he planted some shit, even though he didn't get what he came there to get.
Yeah.
And I think it might
it's
be
the same thing that they always do with, the antagonist, where you take a step further, but it's actually not as big of a step as you think it is, type shit. They
you talking about Nick or
with
Skrulls?
Nick, because Nick thought he was like one up with, putting the bug in.
I feel like
he
is kind of though.
He is, but it's not enough, because he did all of that. But
let me tell you,
got killed.
So watch this. You right, but I think those are those kind of little sacrifices in the long game, because I think he's still ahead of the curve when it comes to all this shit. Because if he hadn't planted that shit on Sonya shit, he never would have been able to spy on. I don't recall what exactly it was that he was listening into, but they had that. And then if he didn't plant the shit on Priscilla, he wouldn't have known that she was trying to kill him. They got this Rhodey guy working with him, and if he wouldn't have slipped the tracker in on Rhodey, then he never would have been able to run down on Gravik and them. Even though Talos got killed, I think he a casualty, but he still was able to kind of like
the president.
Oh yeah, right. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was a big thing. Shout out to Talos for doing that before he got popped.
In which, of course, like he still completed the mission. He still completed the objective that he was trying to, get intel or save somebody or something else. It's just these.
Yeah, I feel like
these casualties are so big. Like these losses that he takes are so big. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just something that I really hope they don't do with this series is just keep giving us a cascade of like fake ass death, right? Because I mean, Talos, it looks really bad for him, and he's being left in the street, like in that whole conflict. So right now, it could just be up in the air, like whatever's going on with him and shit. But last episode also, maybe they made it obvious, maybe they didn't, but Gaia just like pops back up, and it's like, okay, she's back on the scene, but all she was worth the shit for was just like having a bad conversation with Talos, and just clarifying that she doesn't fuck with her father even more now, right? So I just hope that if Talos is truly dead right now, that it marks some kind of turn, or that they do something like interesting with it. Because if he just wakes up again and it's just back to business as usual, I think they need to stop kind of basing the cliffhangers off these deaths when they're not the most interesting happening in like the episodes themselves.
Right.
I think it's a little bit of difference because, well, obviously they tricked us, like Roots. They tricked us because we didn't know before that she had taken the extremist, or we didn't know that she had the super Skrull abilities or anything like that. So they kind of just threw that on us this week after we saw her die last week. I don't believe that Talos had that happen to him. His situation where his fucking face was changing and shit is like,
yeah, he was fucking dying.
Yeah, it was a little bit there. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's gonna wake up. I hope he doesn't. But I also see this as so the prediction about Talos having his redemption, it didn't really play out if he's dead. But I think this is Gaia's moment now because she's a fucking super Skrull.
Also, I think they're probably gonna use Talos as kind of like a martyr or a call to arms type shit where, in the moment when Talos is he just got shot and shit, one of the soldiers sees Talos turning back into himself, and he's like, "Oh, he's an alien. He's trying to kidnap the president." And then Nick stops him. And he's like, "No, he's on our side. Pay attention to what the fuck you're doing." They're the
opens another fucking door, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the aliens have been seen.
Exactly. So now and he's dead on the shit. When people
facts,
when the coroners come up to collect the bodies, they're gonna see this green nigga.
Fucking alien, nigga.
It's a fucking alien.
It's crazy.
How many more people are like this are here?
We had about 30 something minutes here. in the podcast, and the episode itself was like 30 something minutes. It's kind of interesting how we were able to cover from the beginning to like pretty much the last event in the same amount of time as the episode itself. So salute to y'all. But one thing I will say about the episode length is that one thing I liked with this series for a lot of the earlier episodes was that it had a longer runtime than your average show, but it gave them like enough time to make real moments out of shit. Like I saw one criticism that was about the exchange between like Fury and Priscilla, who presumably love each other very much, and I think that's what the gunshot scene was supposed to show us. Her being willing to like sacrifice for him, but they kind of had to rush it. I mean, we heard the poem at the beginning of the episode, and it was literally just to set up for that shit no more than 10 minutes later, you know. Right. So it's kind of like I really don't want them to lose some of the what do you call it, the not just momentum, but some of the delicate moments like they're able to do on screen, because there's some really good character development that goes on in the beginning episodes, but now it just seems like their priority is short and sweet, push the plot forward, you know, which I'm not mad about. But this is
I think the first two episodes were like 50 something minutes. They did a lot. They had to do like a lot of setting up, I guess, in them, a lot of setting up the scene and where we are, what the fuck is going on.
In which I think they use the dialogue to set up shit, and I think that is a really good thing that they're doing. And I see what Luna was saying, where if you don't have the moment where Talos is kind of going off about all of the things that they did, you don't get to know the significance of the Skrull people that's helping the humans. You know what I'm saying? Right.
Yeah. So
whereas if they cut that out, it's you're kind of stuck with just the action parts, which the actions is cool, but if you don't have anything to lead into that, it's just action. You know,
the finale held back. The finale might be like an hour and some change, like knowing like kind of how these big budget shits go. They usually make the last one like a crazy episode that lasts longer than the other episodes. But one thing I do hope again is just that they don't take out some of the more delicate moments between the characters, and they keep on having them, you know, constantly being like kind of fleshed out, kind of getting like more weight added on to like their story and like their missions and their goals and shit. This episode, I feel like it just sort of ran through the bullet points of loose ends from the last episode and just opened up a few more in the common sequence, but it didn't feel like this episode really had like that damn, like what did I just watch at the end? I was just sort of, you know, maybe,
I think last episode was short, but I think it was very impactful. This episode was short. Like you said, I think it was just to push the story along because I didn't really get that much from it. However, I want to ask y'all about we didn't see that much of Gravik this episode, but we did see a little bit of development for Gravik because we see the nigga shooting his arm out like Groot.
Got a Groot arm, bro, and then squeeze the nigga to death, bro. Like,
and so that's confirmation of how we saw the DNA before, like it was Groot DNA, the frost giant, frost beast thing, and so
which I don't see how that correlates yet. The frost giant DNA, maybe because it adds to their like strength factor. Hoping that they don't have this nigga breathe fucking. I'm not gonna lie, the breathe fire thing was very fucking stupid in the extremist shit with Iron Man. So I really hope they don't have Gravik.
I think it's the same shit, bro.
I think that shit's I thought it was stupid then, and on him, I think it's gonna be stupid even more.
Well, I agree. Like, I mean, look, I just think that the way that they kind of show Gravik's strength, the true test of it will not be when he's beating up random soldiers or random policemen or whatever. Like, I need to see Gravik versus like a prominent character in a one-on-one exchange.
I think it's going to end up being Gaia.
What about that conclusion? How the little plot twist with Gravik? What y'all thought about that?
You mean when he was like helping him, but he was really like
he was a soldier.
So I mean, this one here, it could be a little bit of like stage acting for Gravik's purposes, because I think he's one of those like villains that likes to make like a show or a production out of some of the stuff that he does. He likes to look at people as little puppets, you know, whatever. He's the puppet master. So I thought, you know,
he likes having his hands in shit. Like he don't like just being the puppet master.
I thought about that. When I seen him,
he likes to be the assaulter. You know what I'm saying? Like the same shit with Mariah Hill. He looked Nick in his fucking eyes before he shot her. He likes toying with that nigga in his face and then stabbed the shit out of him.
He's a provocateur, I think, and in true fashion, if Talos doesn't die here, I feel like this would be an indication that he's still just continuing to provoke. One thing about Gravik is that I think he's individually powerful enough to give these niggas a run for their money dolo. Like I don't think Talos is going to put up that much of a fight if he's not a super Skrull, and I don't think that Nick can because he's got very minimal like shit at his disposal to fight against a guy like that. So right now, Gravik could literally just wipe them out and snap his finger, but he's taking his time to like really marinate these niggas in the suffering and the loss and like all these other things and fuck with their heads. So while it's justified for him as a character, I just hope that we finally get some sort of major confrontation between protagonist and antagonist, and we can kind of see sort of like where our characters stand and like what kind of hurdles they need to immediately overcome. Because right now it's mostly just like a logistical information spying kind of like conflict going on. And like the little moments of violence, usually they're a step behind Gravik. So yeah, we'll see how it goes down the line. But if Talos isn't dead though, I mean, what is really his next step? Probably just like to regroup with Nick, or are they going to kidnap Talos, right? For example, and then just like pose as him, like coming back to meet up with Nick or something like that, you know? So there's a lot of cool things that they can actually do with this this moment that they've done here.
We were talking about what was going to be the push for Talos to kind of like be the badass that he could be, but seeing as he's dead now, I think they're going to use that for Gaia's final motivation to like, even though she didn't have that much respect for him, she still was coming back into "you're my father, I'm meant to be next to your side whether I agree with you or not" type shit. I think that's what that conversation was. Though it ended badly, I think she definitely made her point as to what side she is on. You know what I'm saying? So and also I think they're gonna use him dying as like the motivation for her to have this big showdown between her and Gravik.
Also, for what it's worth, right? Rhodes is not dead. Rhodes was sitting in the backseat of the car watching as like the combat like was going down. The dude was just calm as fuck.
Bro, and he was sitting there like they was just going over speed bumps. Like he was watching.
But he made the call, didn't he?
Well, he was collaborating with Gravik, so Gravik knew where they were going to be, and remember Gravik's plan was to like pretend to be Russians and whatever. So he was in on that. But
I think that's why he was so calm in the car, because it was like he knew he wasn't in any danger, and he knew he was in cahoots with Gravik, like I said. So,
but even with that, my thing is, how much shit have you gone through as an individual for cars and helicopters to be blowing up less than 10 feet away from you, and you just chilling, bro?
We don't know how Skrull emotions work, man. He ain't no Skrull. I mean, he's a Skrull. He ain't a human.
Whether he is whatever,
and that's a woman too. That nigga is, I don't know if y'all noticed. That's a woman.
Whatever. That nigga is different. That nigga is different.
Covered up their chest and shit in the shower, whatnot, covering up their titties and shit. I was like,
so I want to say this, Roots, because what you said about Gaia is something that I probably said like 15 minutes ago, man. Rewind it. But I agree with you that her father dying might be a big motivation, because you also have to couple that with the fact that in the first episode we found out that her mother died as well. Right. And to the same people, like Gravik's people, the rebels are responsible for her mom and her dad dying, and Gravik tried to kill her. So it's like it's a lot of shit. Like it's a lot of shit there for her.
How much shit you gonna take, Gaia?
Motivation, that's for sure. But you know, it's the kind of thing that culminates in somebody like Gaia being there when like Nick Fury and like Gravik are facing off, and then it's just like once Gravik thinks he's got like this dude Nick in his clutches, then out comes Gaia with some type of technique or move. Like, so I could see them like sort of building to her, like having like an active role in like the
because
counter.
I think she's probably gonna be, you know, we haven't seen much of Gaia like in action when it comes to like fighting or anything. However, we do know now that she has the same fucking super Skrull abilities, or at least somewhat.
Some of them, right?
He has some type of combat knowledge, though we don't put a whole lot of stock in the beating up henchmen. She definitely handled the fuck out of them niggas that was standing.
Oh yeah, she did. She was on the niggas' ass.
But one thing I was just bringing up with Rhodes was that now let's be fair, they were able to save the president. Talos is incapacitated. We don't know if they're going to kidnap him or if he's going to get away somehow, whatever. But one thing that we have to But one thing that we have to think about is that Rhodes still has like the, you know, president's aide like sort of role. And so for me now, I think one way they could spin it is that Rhodes goes and reports to the government and says the president has been kidnapped by Nick Fury, right? which could put a huge spin on this because they have the president in their literal possession and shit like that or whatever. But this dude Rhodes is in a position to convince everybody that he's like been kidnapped or like taken away by whatever else. You know what I'm saying? So they're not out of the water. Certainly, extracting the president came at like huge losses to them. I think that scene would have only been, you know, perfect for the Fury camp if they were able to take out Rhodes. But now Rhodes is an extremely dangerous moving piece as far as information. Right?
I feel like
and I
that's
want to know
exactly what they're gonna do.
And I also want to know who is this Skrull lady that is Rhodes? Like, why is she like what? What
How
is she doing?
Able to get so close? And what is she doing? Like, what is her,
like what is her
part
motivation
in this shit?
I know she's working with Gravik, but like, what's her fucking story? Because they showed her getting out the shower. That's all they showed.
I think that's going to be another thing that because they always give you the information you need at the very beginning. I think that's where they're going to kind of start.
Do a flashback of it.
Yeah.
But one thing is that we've seen Rhodes on screen up till now, and he's been in his human form for essentially like all of these scenes. We know that he's working with Gravik, but even when he was meeting with Priscilla, he didn't show that he was necessarily a Skrull. We just knew that he was working with him, right? But in the shower scene, that was the first time we realized that he was this female Skrull for sure. So we're not even sure, one, like when it was the case that the switch was made, and two, like who exactly she is and what her relation is to somebody. It could be
she's
like
clearly a rebel. One of
the rebels for sure. But it also casts some doubt as to like, you know, just how much them getting the president is really going to mean anything, because they basically have people part of the resistance on the inside. So it's sort of, man, she could go anywhere at this point. But
it's only two episodes left, man. It's just gonna wrap up real quick.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was gonna be something like a 10 episode or like an 8 episode.
That's definitely that's what they usually do. Like, and I kind of hope that this is not gonna be a regular thing. Like, they have Loki season 2 coming out soon, and that's another one of those ones where it's always like the shortest they'll go is like 9, but it'll be like 9.
I feel like if they can accomplish it in 6, I won't be mad at it.
True.
Like if everything is, because so far the series has been great.
Yeah.
So if they can tie everything up and wrap it up in 6, then I would definitely not mind the 6 shit going forward if they can like just like make everything make sense, make everything tie in, and Well,
the main things that we need to tie up, I think, are gonna be sort of where everybody actually stands in the conflict. Like, we need to know what Nick has at his disposal to fight back, and what Gravik has at his disposal that he's prepared to do. We don't even know the full extent of like what he's capable of right now.
Did you see Nick's fucking face when he seen like he shot at Gravik and then that shit grew back?
That nigga was sick. I
can't
shoot this nigga? That's what I do.
we seen Skrulls die from gunshots. This nigga saw what happened. Gravik's face grew back, and it was the extremist because it was like orange or red or whatever. And he was fucking spooked when he saw that. So what's gonna be his reaction like next episode? How the fuck can he fight that? It has to be Gaia. She's the only one.
That's true.
How can she fight a fucking army though?
And we're seeing a lot of sides of Nick. You know, his more funny side, his more, you know, sarcastic side, even his more sensitive side with Priscilla. We haven't seen him scared though. Like, we haven't seen him shook beyond belief. You know, so I'm hoping to maybe see that just as a different side of Nick. Like, oh shit, what the fuck are we gonna do?
This is a good episode because finally Gravik has like shown his hand, at least in part, right? Like, we know that the Super Skrull thing was in play as the viewer, but now he's kind of seeing like, okay, this nigga is not even fazed by a gunshot to the face. So I can only assume then that this nigga has the power of extremists. Because I mean, if they know it's extremists, then I'm sure Nick Fury knows is the dude got the Avengers together, right? So he knows what those powers are, at least by looking at it. So I think the next episode, they should address that, and they should be like kind of having this discussion of the countermeasures against that shit and what they need to do. If they link with Gaia, there could be some conversation like, we need to sneak into the facility and we got to steal the technology for this so y'all can get it too, or something like that, you know?
Here's the thing with that, just on the figuring out how to, you know, beat them. The extremists is not the only thing that they have to worry about. You know, we've seen Groot protect himself by just putting the shell around him, and he has the DNA of Groot right now. He also has the DNA of the Frost people, which they.
So let me say this, Root.
The first time we saw.
The only thing I can think of that is kind of an edge to where they may be able to do something is Gaia, because not only does she have the the extremists, she also has like intel and knowledge of like Gravik's or like his operation and what he's trying to do. Like she's been in these facilities. That's how she got the shit in the first place. Maybe she has some sort of something, maybe whether it be information or something that she did prior that will boost her abilities. Maybe she was in the, because wasn't she on that DNA computer at one point too, looking at the shit, and he asked her about what she was doing.
Yep.
Maybe she did something with that. I don't know, because that's the only thing I can see. Like she might have a little edge because she knows the ins and outs of what the fuck Gravik is doing. She was basically his right hand woman. It seemed like, appeared like. So maybe she can provide a little bit of spark somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe she can help them out, like figure out a countermeasure. Also, it could be the case too that for her, maybe she has like some sort of confrontation with Gravik personally, right? Like maybe they're gonna end up squaring off at some point. At some point she's gonna get her comeuppance for surviving like the original kill. But I do wonder how
she still hasn't even pressed this nigga for being the reason why his mother died.
That's true.
I definitely want to. They always do, like when the big people of both sides face off. There's always some type of dialogue right prior to, and so I'm kind of excited to see
what happened the last time she wanted the dialogue.
Oh yeah.
Got shot.
Gravik definitely. He may be a little bit slower to it now, but it's probably not going to be as long as we usually think. It's not going to be no whole
talking guy.
It's not going to be no whole thing like between fucking Vegeta.
Bruce, if she make the same fucking mistake twice, then that's her. That's on her.
So you're saying talking is her issue, and that's going to be her downfall.
But he ain't trying to talk.
You know what? This is something I got to bring up about Gravik. It's just that bro is always steps ahead. So I imagine that he's got moves if Gaia were to survive. Even if Gaia survives, as a fact, he knows that she has access to the technology. That could have been a test, right? He could have shot her there, and okay, maybe she's not dead or whatever, but she's gonna be out of my way. You know.
So let me say this, Luno.
Yeah.
What I think, I have a theory. I believe that this is the one thing that Gravik was not prepared for, because
for her to have the same shit, the same DNA.
Yeah, because I like. Normally, when you shoot a Skrull, they die, and I don't believe he was aware that she snuck in and used the machine on herself. And so this might be the one thing that he's not prepared for. Like he finally gets caught off guard because he actually believes that she's dead because he shot her himself.
At the beginning of it, when they're loading up, getting ready for the whole attack and shit, his other, right hand,
he asked about her.
General, whatever.
Yeah, he was like,
"Oh no, she's out of the way. We're not worried."
Yeah,
about
we
her.
took care of that. Yeah.
So I think he might think she's dead, and when she pops up, it's gonna be like, what the fuck?
But you know what? Too, he could be deceiving his constituency. He might just like openly say, "Hey, I know she's dead already, so stop thinking about that," because he might have plans later to use her or some shit. So we don't really know.
Maybe, but I feel like the only way they can really kind of like even the playing field, because Gravik, like you said, he's so much he plans out everything, he thinks ahead, and he's fucking ruthless. I think the only way they can really even the playing field is if they catch him slipping some kind of way. And that's the only way I can see it.
If it comes to a fight thing, I'm not sure that she can. Like, I done seen her do some cold shit, but I've definitely seen Gravik do more. So I think it would be safe for her to get some more Skrulls and get them in that machine and shit. Just so
she can't do that. She can't do that. It's too late for that.
Well, she can't pull up to the lab and then try and do all that. She an enemy. As soon as she walk in there, everybody gonna know she's the mole. They're gonna be like, "What you doing here, mole ass nigga?"
And they already know that. They already know that now because Gravik told dude. He said she what was it him? He was like, "You know why Gravik? What did he say? That scene when she was like, "Well, Gaia not here right now, man. You know what that means?" Or some shit like that. And Buddy was like, "We took care of that. She's the mole. This and that." So the Skrulls already know. The rebels already know that she was a fuck nigga.
But what they can do, obviously, what they can do though, is extract information from her. Maybe she has some insight as to how the technology came to be. And also, Nick with his, understanding of the Avengers and shit like that, I don't think that he's completely ignorant as to how he could go up in power if he needed to. I feel like he might have like some sort of ideas, or maybe even Talos might know something about it, if they can get in contact with that nigga again. But ultimately,
Shang-Chi or Spider-Man or somebody.
Ultimately, though, I am definitely concerned that we have 2 episodes to go. If that's the runtime they're doing, next week might be like a 30 to 45 minute, and then that last one's going to be an hour.
We're not going to see any. We're not going to see any Avenger cameos, but I think it would be nice, man. I ain't gonna lie. I wouldn't mind seeing one of them.
Not even like them. I feel like in this, there's like a certain realm for the TV niggas, right? The show niggas. If they were to have like the girl that was the assistant to Hawkeye, I guess she's the new Hawkeye now, or probably not Loki, but like probably not Moon.
Is that Yelena?
That don't make sense.
I didn't watch the show. Is that Yelena?
I think that is her name.
Black
Yelena.
Widow's sister?
No, not her. So Black Widow's sister is a thing. She's actually a part of this too, because she pops up in Hawkeye. But even if they were to have actually, now that I think of it, that makes sense for her to show up, because she's gonna be a part of the Thunderbolt shit. So it actually makes sense if they were to use her to kind of set up that Thunderbolt shit more by having her pop up in this.
You saw WandaVision, right?
Right.
In WandaVision, they brought Monica Rambeau in there randomly, and we had never seen her superpower, but she's came from Captain Marvel. She was like Captain Marvel's best friend's daughter. And so they just randomly threw another hero in the show, and she was like, and so I don't think they're gonna do that
as a means for the setup to the next shit.
I don't think they're doing that with this, because this is extremely centered on Nick Fury and his fight and the Skrulls. So I don't think they're gonna reach out and bring in like Shang-Chi out of nowhere, or
it wouldn't be the first time they did the same shit with Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel had nothing to do with Thanos, and then
that's not true. You made that up.
She had absolutely. It took Nick calling her for her to pull up.
Well, I mean, that was the entire point.
That's what I'm saying. Nick got connections if he decided to call somebody.
So Captain Marvel fucking saved the Earth whenever the fuck she did, and she went away to protect outer space. And the thing was, if you ever need me, and the world's finna fucking go down into flames or some shit, then call me. And he just waited until the very last minute when he was finna disappear to call that bitch. She had a reason to be there.
Yeah, but the only connection is Nick Fury. So I'm thinking that if this nigga is the connector to other shit, man. Yeah, I'm not saying he'll call Marvel. I'm saying he'll call one of these other people that we already know of. One of the other like
this nigga been out of space when all these new Avengers came up though. He don't know these niggas.
That don't mean he doesn't have intel. At the same time, he's had Talos acting as him, and they've had conversation, in the time that he was gone.
Talos ran everything, bro. We found that out. Nick is a front man.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like he would probably have something to let this nigga know, like some type of dying wish or will or some shit to let.
He ain't gonna do it. It's gonna be Gaia. I don't think they're bringing nobody in. I just think it'll be nice. It's gonna be Gaia. We're gonna see her.
Yeah,
but she gonna need help, bro. Like, she can't do this shit on her own. I don't know who she gonna get to help her.
She can't, honestly. And also with the technology that's been presented in the show, it could be the case that other DNA strains could be brought into the mix that we don't know about. Gravik can make additions to that. You don't know what he could get his hands on. They probably stick to things that are kind of closer lore-wise than like things that are extravagant or out of the woodwork. But certainly, like, the possibilities are there. But again, limited runtime, 2 more episodes to really flesh this thing out and set us up for the Secret War, assuming that that's the next move. So all I can hope is that they deliver next episode and they make that shit, just as impactful as the ones that preceded. Because
so here's a little like a little kind of quote unquote fan theory thing.
Yeah.
I don't really know a lot about the comics. You mentioned like them keeping it close to the lore. I've seen little hints that people talked about where it may be some form of a dragon type thing. I don't know if Gaia turned into a dragon or some shit before.
A fucking dragon. Please don't fucking do that.
Well, I mean that goes with the breathing fire thing.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
So I don't know, but I definitely seen a little quote unquote like thoughts about maybe like a dragon or something. Maybe Gaia. I don't know if Gaia turned into a dragon or something.
Don't
in the
let
comments
this
and
be the shit that they introduce fucking dragon powers. All right, just please don't.
let me see if I can find it real quick. Let me look it up. Gaia dragon. That's what I searched.
Bro, I swear to God,
man.
if this bitch just you think you have the upper hand, but watch this,
I
and
don't
she
see it.
fucking does
She
some
turned into a
dumbass
dragon.
turn into a dragon shit. I swear to God, bro.
This is, you fool! This isn't even my final form. Like
Bro,
It's
if they had
It always be on some
dumbass-
whole shit. You had a nigga just like he about to beat this motherfucker. They start laughing. What's so funny? What's funny? You thought this was the
I'm just warming up, and she fucking grows wings and shit.
Yeah, like they've been fighting for 30 minutes. Oh,
It's surprising that you
I'm just
didn't
getting
know that I
started.
was holding back.
hell yeah, bro! Like, come on, bro. You ain't even
This
holding back
is
for 30
straight out of a
minutes.
fucking anime if they do that
I'm
dumbass shit, bro.
Look, man. Do y'all have any other further thoughts about the episode before we sign this shit out?
Nah, man. They really always do this where they make things seem like it's like there's no way that they can come back or combat it against this shit, and then they fucking do. You know what I'm saying? So they have us exactly where they want us in the mind state of how the fuck are they gonna beat this shit. And so I'm just excited to see how they turn this whole shit around.
Definitely. Slim, you had anything else before we
Yeah, I'm really interested. Like you said, it's only 2 episodes left. So I don't really have much. I'm trying to see what the fuck they're going with now. I hope Talos stays dead because that also offers more motivation for Gaia and Nick. It's also like a
Gaia turns into a dragon, nigga.
So I looked that up and I didn't really see anything, but when I typed in Skrulls and Dragon, for some reason they had a Skrull, and on the other side of the picture they had Piccolo. So maybe that nigga
What?
Piccolo gonna like join the
nigga Piccolo?
He'll get Piccolo in this bitch, boy.
Don DeMarco, man.
Piccolo gonna beat the hell out of niggas, bro.
No, that not that makes sense, but like if they made this whole shit for them to kind of be like the people, I forget what the fuck,
The
the
Namekians?
Namekians, yeah, the Namekians. That's a cool little comparison.
Crossover.
I can get that.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
But,
what? What you mean?
So this is completely unrelated. But
People from Namek not shapeshifters.
Yeah, they're not shapeshifters, but they had the same problem. Whereas their planet got overrun, destroyed by Frieza, and they were living on Earth for a little while, waiting for a new planet to be discovered. It's the same shit with the Skrulls. You know, their planet got destroyed, overrun, and they were waiting on Earth for a new planet. You know what I'm saying? So that's
there
how
is a
the
death
Namek
battle
came
that
along.
says Piccolo versus Super Skrull. It's kind of crazy.
I got Piccolo 30. I don't give a fuck.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Gravik is a different thing.
I think
does he have a special beam cannon? No, he does not.
I don't know.
He
We
doesn't.
haven't
But
seen it.
but one thing I will say is that their skills of regeneration are probably a little bit better than Piccolo's. When Piccolo loses an arm, he has to
takes
like
him a little
struggle.
minute.
Yeah, he got to struggle real hard for him to get the shit back. I
Gravik
think
got shot in the fucking face, and that bitch grew back instantly.
grew back like it was nothing. So
Fucking Piccolo got shot in the chest a few times.
Piccolo
and
can
he
fly.
died
Gravik
every
can't
time.
fly.
that's true. Well, flight is something that we've yet to see be utilized by like humanoid figures, and everybody's using the technology still. So hopefully they keep.
And then
grounded.
Gravik gonna
God,
fucking conjure up a
if-
skateboard, nigga, and be like the Silver Surfer.
I swear to God, if
I would
Gravik
go
fucking
crazy.
flies,
He one of them niggas, boy. He could do anything.
Yeah, imagine they have him like surrounded, like they get all the like military and shit surround him, the lights on him or whatever. This nigga start levitating. I would be sick.
You gotta have a cloak, nigga. You gotta have a
nigga
cloak.
goes super Namekian and gains ultra instinct out of fucking nowhere. Like,
I
what
would
the
be
fuck?
The
sick.
nigga gonna
boy.
start shooting webs out his hand, bro. Like this nigga, he got everybody in the MCU powers, bro. Like he can do
This
anything.
nigga's like fucking what's her name? Rogue, bro. Like he just stealing shit. He's John. He just steals shit.
Shout out John, man.
Shout out Gravik, man.
Yeah, Gravik is definitely one of my favorite villains. Even this episode, it was just another example of him catching dubs. Like I don't see this nigga ever like really losing. But 2 episodes left. Gravik definitely has, he's definitely been a step ahead the whole time, and I don't know if he's gonna be done in by the end of this shit, but I do know that our characters have a lot of room to grow, so hopefully that shit comes full circle. That being said, man, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This has been another episode of the Real Rap Coalition podcast, Secret Invasion. I want to tell y'all real quick, just to like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. Y'all know y'all
and
should
share the shit. Stop being stingy.
And for the love of God, just stay on the video beyond 30 seconds. These are some good conversations. Like, y'all niggas just be quitting. Like, we see the numbers.
Heroes Next Door Part 2 coming soon.
Yeah, bullshit. Bullshit. You horny ass niggas better chill out. You better go find some ups for your refuel.
We're gonna have some clips this time.
Yeah, like
if they saw clips, they would have stayed longer, bro.
Damn right they would have stayed longer. You know what else would have happened? The shit would have got taken down. Shout out.
We gotta figure out the way around it, man.
Man, God bless to y'all. This has been the Real Rap Coalition podcast. We are out.